everyone, Angela here. Life can be challenging. Trust me, I get it. However, I have learned we can either view the opposition or value the opportunity. Ponder on the problem or praise the potential. Focus on the situation or find the solution. Despite the current circumstances you're going through, I invite you to join me today as we embark on a grand adventure to discover the reasons why it's a good time to be you.
Here's the encourager herself, making every day a good day, Angela Henderson.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome. We are so glad you are here today. Turn to your neighbor and say, it's a good time to be you. Yes, and it is. We are just so honored that you are taking the time out and investing your time to really empower yourself, to be inspired, and to be encouraged. We have with us a remarkable young lady, LaTonya Flood, who is going to be sharing her story with us, going from a teenage mom and all the challenges that came with that. You know, the Bible says that when the enemy comes in like a flood, God raises up a standard against him. And so there were some challenges that she had to face. However, it is now coming back into full swing, and she is a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, and doing so many amazing things, as well as raising a family with 3 children. So today, her soul is flooded with joy. And we're going to hear her story and be a part of the journey that got her to that point. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Hey everyone, Angela here. Do you have a remarkable story with an extraordinary outcome? Well, if you do, I'd love to invite you to submit that to us at itsagoodtimetobeyou@gmail.com. We would love to review it for consideration, and who knows, you might just find yourself on our show. So enjoy the rest of your day, and remember, it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. Now let's give Miss LaTonya Flood a hand clap as we welcome her to the stage today. Come on out, LaTonya. Yay! We are so glad you are here.
Be here.
Oh, just great expectations. I know we're going to hear some amazing stuff today. You know, I'm already admiring you.
Thank you.
Looking at some of the information and just a little bit about your story. I'm just really impacted already, and I know that our audience and our viewers are going to be impacted as well with this story. So why don't we just dive in?
Okay.
Let's get started. Why don't you take us back a little bit into childhood, about, you know, what childhood was like for you, where you grew up and all that good stuff.
So I grew up in a very rural area. They consider it the country part of Charleston, South Carolina, Adams Run.
Oh my goodness, I go through there every day.
Oh, really?
I live on Eddystone.
Okay,
Yes.
so you know exactly what I'm talking
Yes,
about.
ma'am.
So I grew up with my great-grandmother. She raised me for the first 10 years of my life. My mom was always around. I didn't know who my biological father was.
Okay.
But I would stay with my great-grandmother during the week because my mom was a nursing aide and she worked the night shift. But my mom would come every
Beautiful
weekend to pick
lady.
us up. And just to paint an even better picture, I grew up in a 2-bedroom single trailer, and my great-grandmother and I shared a bed, and my brother, who was 2 years older than me, slept in a cot in the same room. And my uncle, who had epilepsy, slept in the other bedroom. No one wanted to sleep in the room with him, just in case, you know.
Wow.
So that's a little bit about where I grew up and how I
Wow.
grew up.
So talk about family togetherness.
Mhm, exactly.
Yeah, and then your mom working to just try to keep everything together and keep food on the table. Wow, that's pretty cool. Let me ask you this. Let's move forward just a little bit into time. And we want to get to the part where, you know, you discovered that you were expecting and that you were pregnant. So what was that like for you in those moments and in those days?
Well, it was very an interesting day. Believe it or not, I had no idea that I was pregnant. I mean, obviously I was sexually active, but I was doing all the things that I was taught to prevent from STDs and pregnancies. So my day started out, a typical day. I was a senior in high school.
Okay. About how old were you at the time?
17.
17.
And a friend of mine who had a child her sophomore year in high school said that she thought she was pregnant again. So I said, well, why do you think that? And she was like, because I'm hot. And I was like, oh, don't worry, I'm hot too. And then hours passed, and she's like, no, Tanya, I believe, I'm really pregnant. I said, well, why this time? She said, because I'm hungry. And I was like, don't worry, I'm hungry too.
Oh, no.
So at the end of the day, she brought me a pregnancy test. And I was like, what is this for? She was like, oh, it was 2 in a box. So I'm going to take one and you take one. I was like, okay, well, I'll take it with you. And she was not pregnant, and I was.
Oh,
So I
goodness.
no clue whatsoever.
No clue.
So that was, and that moment I was in the bathroom, and I laid down on the floor and I tried to figure out, like, my aunt at the time couldn't have children, so I was like, well, should I give my child up for adoption? Then I was like, well, I wouldn't feel comfortable going to family functions, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's my kid right there, And then it was like abortion, but as a Christian, I'm like, would I go to heaven if I make this decision? So then I was like, well, I think we're doing this. And I left the bathroom and I walked into my room, and as soon as I opened the door, I left the TV on. It says, having a baby changes everything.
Wow.
So that was like the true moments.
You know what is so beautiful about this story? Even though it was a struggle, making this decision as a youth, as a teenager at the age of 17, that number represents victory. And you rose up at that moment, my friend, and you decided you were not going to be a victim in this situation, but you were going to be a victor in this situation. But not only for you, but for your child as well, to give your child an opportunity at life. And how amazing was it that God confirmed that for you, to give you some peace in your mind, to know that you made the right choice and that He was going to be with you. It does change everything, but you know what? He walks through us, or with us rather, through those changes. He promises to be there with us, that He will stick with us. So that is so exciting. Well, when we come back, we're going to hear a little bit more about this journey, because this was just the beginning of that change,
exactly.
wasn't it? This metamorphosis and this transformation, right, my friend? Okay, so please do not go away. We're going to be right back, and we're going to hear some more of this amazing story of just bravery and just beautiful things that are to come. So be right back. Check out my new book on AngelaDHenderson.com and take a journey to discover the many reasons why it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. We are here today with LaTanya Flood, and she is sharing her story of just really being brave and overcoming a lot of challenges being a teenage mom. And we left off, you had just discovered you thought your friend was pregnant, and it's you, the one that's carrying all these signs and symptoms. And here you are, you're 17 years old, and you're a senior in high school. So, LaTanya, now you got to tell your mom. Share with us, how did that go?
So, interestingly enough, I had only told my aunt at this point that I was even expecting. And my mother shared with my aunt that she was going to take me to an OBGYN appointment. So my aunt called me and she was like, you might, want to tell your mom now, not have her find out there.
Wow.
So we took a ride to a liquor store. I don't even know why. The liquor store was closed, but that's where we went in the parking lot. And not only did I have to tell my mother that I was expecting, I had to tell her that I wasn't even sure who the father was.
Wow.
So it was like a double whammy. This was back in early 2000s. So that generation, they feel as though their children is a direct reflection of themselves.
Yeah.
So immediately my mom was extremely disappointed because she had me at 20. She wanted better for me. That's why she was working so hard all this time. I mentioned earlier that she was a nurse's aide.
Yeah.
Well, at this point now she's an LPN. So she's, doing better, and she's now the world is seeing her as a more accomplished woman, right?
Yes.
And now her daughter is pregnant and you don't know who the father is. So she wanted to hurt me, just any other African American parents would have wanted to do at that point.
Wow.
So I knew that about my mom already. So before I even left, I had my suitcase upstairs packed because I'm stubborn, just like her. So when I knew what she did, she told me to leave. As soon as I got home, I walked upstairs, I grabbed my bag. 2 seconds later, and I walked back down because I wanted her to know it's fine if you make me leave.
So you were expecting her to make you leave, but what did she actually do? What happened?
Oh, she told me to leave.
She told you to leave. Now, when we were on break, you had shared with me that you were the type of student, as well as young person, that everybody wanted to have. So you made the good grades, didn't cause any problems, didn't
Right.
cause any upsets. And so now that you are experiencing an issue and a challenge in your life, the support that you needed, it's kind of not right there. So you mentioned that you were a Christian at the time. So were you attending a local church?
Yeah, I was going to a Baptist church.
And how did that community respond to your situation?
Oh, not kindly. I was singing on the youth choir at the time, and I remember that it was me and a gentleman around this at the same time. He had gotten someone pregnant, and I was pregnant, but they sat me down from the choir. But they left him up, and that's something that I just never understood. Like, wait, if this, we're attending the same church, we committed the same sin, so why am I being treated differently? Their justification of it all was that I was the one up there showing, and he wasn't showing. So I'm like, whoa. So you're only being punished if people could, quote unquote, see your sin?
You see, LaTanya, that is religion right there. Because if we can cover it up and nobody knows about it, then we can, just continue to go on with life as usual. And that's what religion will have us to do. It's kind of like the story of the woman that was caught in adultery. I've often wondered, where was the man? They brought the woman, to Jesus, wanting to stone her. But where was the guy, And so as long as it can be covered up, then it's not that big of a deal. It doesn't matter. It'll work itself out. But Jesus loves us.
Yes, he
And
does.
Jesus will never leave us. He'll never forsake us. He's a friend that stays closer than a brother. And he walks with us through all these situations. Though friends forsake us, or though fathers forsake us, or mothers forsake us, or even church family forsakes us, he will not do that. And so I'm just so grateful that I know him, and I'm so grateful that he knows you. And
Right.
so why don't you continue on with the rest of this story? What happened, after feeling that rejection from your church family?
Well, it's great that you mentioned about God because I definitely believe I have a lot of favor on my life in that at the time where I felt like a lot of people were rejecting me, he never made me feel that way. So my mom did indeed kick me out, but I was back the next day, with my still
Thank you, Lord.
same packed bag. I never changed clothes that night. And then there was a young woman from the church, and she's actually my best friend today. She had witnessed something similar, so she saw how the community was treating me. So then she started mentoring me. And today we're best friends. So
I love that. I love that, the representation of Christ in your life, for sure. So you did have a lot of goals and dreams and plans, and so some of that had to change for a little bit.
Oh,
so
for sure.
What transpired in the
So-
transitioning and the changes?
Right. So at the time, I was planning on going to a school called New York Film Academy. Had everything already planned, but now here I am pregnant. That's not an option anymore. So I opted to go to the Citadel instead.
Okay.
And a year passed, and I got so acquainted with my daughter, I didn't want to go to a college where I couldn't come home every day and spend time with her.
Yeah.
So I didn't go to the Citadel either. I ended up going to Trident Tech, which is great because Trident Tech had the same type of programs that I wanted to attend at New York Film Academy. So
Okay.
everything works out,
Yay.
And at the time, my parents wasn't very pleased because, okay, Grant, okay, you had the baby, but you're going to college. You know, that
Yeah.
was their take on it. And I wanted to go, but they wanted me to go to a prestigious college so that
Yeah.
people would not see me as the teenage mom, but now the teenage mom who goes to the Citadel. And they supported me financially, but it was very difficult for me to accept their financial assistance because, you know, as a mom, I couldn't walk into a Dollar General and buy my daughter a pacifier without asking my mother for money.
Yeah.
So I ended up dropping out of college, and I got my first job, and I became an insurance agent because I knew that no disrespect to McDonald's or Walmart, I knew I had to get a job where I could take care of my child
Yes.
on my own because that's
Yes.
something that I wanted to do.
That is so beautiful, Latanya. Well, we're getting ready to take a break, and so when we come back, we're going to continue to hear the rest of Latanya's story and how this thing swung right back around when she made the right choice. So we'll be right back. Hey, as a leader, you are a broker of gifts. So whether you are a professional, a business owner, or a ministerial leader, I would love to accompany you in transforming your ordinary staff into an extraordinary team through leadership development, team building, and personal discovery. You will learn the amazing gifts, skills, and talents that each of you have and know how to bring them together in order to do great things. So reach out to me at AngelaDHenderson.com and let's begin your amazing adventure today. And remember, it's a good time to be you. Welcome back, everyone. So, Latanya, share with us now. We have you selling insurance.
Yes.
Yes, okay. You're a teenage mom. You are thinking about your daughter. You are wanting to take responsibility,
Right.
For her. Not just so much, place this responsibility on your mom and your dad.
Correct.
But you want to be the one that does the provision or the providing for her, rather. So you go into insurance, which is a commission-based job. So
Exactly.
Yeah. So how'd that work for you?
Well, my daughter was definitely my inspiration. I was the youngest one in the company. I was 18 years old, but I was also number one every week
Good for
because I didn't have a
you.
choice. Failure was never an option because she was relying on me, and then I needed my parents to know that I can do this.
Good for you.
Yeah,
Good for
most
you.
definitely.
So when did you realize then that everything was going to be okay?
Oh, gosh. Everything was not okay for a while. I worked hard. I ended up going back to school and moving in back with my parents.
Okay.
I had
But you went back to
had
school?
to set pride aside there for a
Yeah.
second. I met my husband. And I was so down on myself because at the time I had an associate's degree in radio television. But I always felt like that wasn't good enough. Society told me that I needed a bachelor's, I didn't have a full-time 9-to-5 job of my dreams, So I would share these with him, and he would tell me stuff like, but you're taking care of your daughter. You're not living alone, but you're making sure that she has. You didn't get your bachelor's degree, but you have a degree. So he taught me how to love myself.
He was your
And
silver lining
he
around the cloud.
definitely
wasn't he?
was.
Your glass half full rather than half empty, Latanya.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
He-
look at the bright side.
He allowed me to see me the way that God sees me. So
Well, he's a true representation then of Jesus because, the Bible says that a man needs to love his wife the way, Christ loved the church. And he was loving you in that way. Christ loves the church. He wants us to see how Father God sees us. And so your husband-to-be at this time was doing that for you. And he was being here's another true representation of Christ in your life. Yet another time where the Lord was showing you, you're not alone.
Yes.
I'm with you. And he put your friend in your life, and it's still your friend to this day. And now he brings along your partner in life that was going to help you from that point on to build your life. How amazing is that? Now, did you meet him at school, or how did you meet him?
I met him at church.
You met him of all places, at a religious place. Okay,
I
this is
started.
so awesome. I love it. I love it.
I started attending a new church. He was the musician, and I was
Aw.
singing. So one day after church, I asked him. I said, I write songs. You think you can put some music to my song? Until to this day, people thought I was hitting on him. But I was literally looking for a musician.
I love it. But you see how God, He knew, and this is the beautiful thing, LaTanya. He knew what you needed in your life that was going to complement what He had designed
Right.
in you. And there was music in you. And He wanted you to be able to sing joyfully. He wanted that music to go out and to praise Him for all the things in life. And so He partnered you with someone that could share that and make that become a reality with you, because He had also placed music inside of them.
Right, exactly.
And so that's pretty awesome. Our God's an awesome God,
Yes,
isn't
He
He?
is.
I absolutely love it. I love it. So, with this connection, then with the man that was going to be your husband, when did you feel just enough peace to continue persevering in your life?
Oh my gosh, that's such a loaded question. It was a day that I was on the phone with my now husband, but at the time just friend, and I was dating this other guy who disappointed me, and I was venting to my now husband, and clear as day, I heard the Lord said, just wait. And I didn't know that He was telling me to wait for my husband, the person I was on the phone with. But at that moment, I just got this peace that, okay, God's always covered me. He's always sent the light. Now I'm just going to sit and wait, because I know He's going to bring me out.
I love it. I love it. And there you were, going to Him and sharing your cares and your woes, and He was the one for you to begin with. And you probably still share your cares and woes, don't you?
I do.
That's a good husband will be there to listen. I'm very blessed as well, and I'm so grateful for mine. And beautiful. Well, we're going to return in just a moment, and we are going to hear the remainder of LaTanya's story and see what God is doing in her life right now through the great choices that she made. He's also allowing her to live her dreams. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hey everyone, Angela here. Just wanting to invite you to share your story with us. You know, we all have times in our lives when it just seemed like it was impossible. But then there was that moment of breakthrough. And just maybe your story was meant to be shared and imparted to be able to encourage and uplift others. Well, we would love to be able to give you that opportunity. So how about send your story into us at itsagoodtimetobeYou@gmail.com for consideration. We would love the opportunity to be able to bring you up on stage so that you can do what you were designed to do, and that was to be an encouragement to those around you. You know, sometimes you just can't make this stuff up, but when it happens, we want the world to know about it. So again, reach out to us at itsagoodtimetobeYou@gmail.com and send in that story for us to consider. And remember, it's a good time to be you.
Wow, welcome back everyone. What a remarkable story of redemption. And so, LaTanya, you know, life is a gift, and you know God's given that to us, and then what we do with it is our gift back to God. And
Right.
so even when we look at today as being the present, it's because it is a gift from God. And so what now is happening and transpiring in your life in the present? You've been gifted with so much. You've got, you know, that beautiful baby girl that's not a baby girl anymore.
No,
I mean, she'll
she's
always be
not.
your baby. But what, 16 now
She's
you shared?
16, exactly.
Okay. And so also you shared with me during break that you have 2 other children
Right,
now.
yes.
So you are a mom in the fullest extent. But there are other roles that are playing in your life right now. So share with us what's going on.
Yeah, other than a wife and a mom, my husband and I, we owned a trucking company. We named it after our name because, you know, names are important. Flood Boys.
Flood
And-
Boys?
Flood
I
Boys.
like that. Flood Boys. Okay.
I'm a published author.
Oh, wonderful. What's the name of your book?
From Star Dreams to Stardom, 7 Ways to Get You Out of Your Way. 'Cause,
Oh.
I am a firm believer that no one can dictate your outcome but yourself, no matter what
Yes.
life throws you.
And where
Living
can
testimony.
we find this? Okay.
On Amazon.
Okay.
On Amazon. Thank
Good
you for
deal.
asking.
Yes,
Um,
okay.
So I'm also a producer. So interestingly enough, I did not do the insurance world too long. I went back to school, like I mentioned, and then I started working in the entertainment industry.
Okay.
So for the last couple of years, I've been helping out on sets that comes to Charleston, South Carolina.
Nice.
And pandemic happened, right?
Yeah.
So I haven't had the opportunity to be on set since March of last year.
Okay.
But my husband and I decided, it's time for us to do something different and take charge of our own lives. So him and I together decided to go back into the insurance world. And believe it or not, I am actually pairing the two. I'm allowing
There you
the
go.
insurance company to fund my dream. So I'm going to start producing my own things now.
You go, girl. That is amazing. Oh, how awesome is that? March, you mentioned March of last year. March, that month, that it means war. And in 2020, we probably felt like we were in a war,
Definitely.
But that was a moment that you guys decided to take charge. This pandemic can either attack us and affect us, or we can step out and take charge of what's happening in our lives right now at this moment. We're not going to be victims of the situation, which is so typical you, as you were sharing, even from being a teenager.
Right.
And so you stepped out where one time before, insurance maybe owned you a little bit just because it was necessary to put food on your table so you could provide for your daughter. But this time you made a choice
Right.
to step back in, and you ruled it.
Exactly.
And now you, like you just said, are using it for your advantage to be able to fund these things that, are inside of your heart, and these desires, that you have. And so that's so smart, so strategic. I remember back in whenever the market crashed, and my husband and I, we had been involved in some real estate, and we were losing a lot and losing everything. And so it was at that moment that we too had to make choices and decisions. Are we going to be victimized by this?
Right.
Or are we going to take life into our own hands and take charge? Because God's given us skills.
Right.
He's given us abilities. And so we both had left jobs and went back to those jobs, and learning to be even better at what we did before. And I'm sure that was your case,
Oh,
that
exactly.
you are a lot better
Right.
than what you were before. You got a little experience under your belt
I do.
and maturity under your belt.
Yes.
I hear that there's some transformation, some metamorphosis taking place even. Is
Yes.
that right?
Yes, that is absolutely
Yeah.
correct.
And so what is the name of this? I think you've got something new that you're working on.
Yes, that friend that helped me all those years ago, my best friend Yolanda, we've actually partnered, and now we're producing our own show called The Morphing Place, where we help women change from the inside and the outside so that they both can match, so that the inside and outside, if you match them, you have a better chance of succeeding in life.
I love it. I love it. That is so amazing. And it just reminds me of just the metamorphosis and the transformation of that caterpillar into the butterfly.
Right. Exactly.
And just being beautiful on the inside and on the outside and ready to take flight, which you, my friend, are taking flight. And it's so wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your story with us today. So when did you realize that it was a good time to be you?
Right here.
Yay! Good. That's what we like to hear. When you have time to reflect and share, you
Yes,
really
ma'am.
realize life is good, isn't
Yes,
it?
yes, ma'am.
Your life is good. How about at the count of 3? We encourage our audience and our viewers and let them know it's a good time to be them, okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. It's a good time to be you. Hey everyone, to order LaTanya Flood's book, From Star Dreams to Stardom, 7 Ways to Get You Out of Your Way, just go to Amazon.com. And remember, it's a good time to be you.